heat on Trump's personal lawyer, Michael Cohen. He's now preparing to change up his legal team and reportedly struggling with their fees. Now, today, I just spoke with Cohen's predecessor as Trump's top lawyer, a man you may have seen named Jay Goldberg. Now, in a moment, I'm going to speak with Nick Ackerman about what we're hearing, but here's the context. I had big questions for Jay, and here's what he told me about the new legal pressure facing Cohen now. Today, do you think Michael Cohen is more likely to flip than before?
He's more likely to flip because he's now facing the prospect of lawyers pressuring him for additional legal fees.
A lot of speculation out there, but that's the voice of Jay Goldberg, who says he still has attorney-client privilege with Trump and who was there before Cohen, and he thinks Cohen is now more likely to cooperate with the feds. So then I asked Goldberg about the nature of the pressures facing Cohen. Nick, take a listen to this as well so we can discuss. Do you think that Michael Cohen is under pressure for things he did for himself or for things he did for Donald Trump?
I think both. I think you have to understand something that hasn't been made clear enough, and I hope you understand it. Every builder in New York City is the subject of mob influence by unions. The mob will tell a builder, unless you give me a portion of monies, you will have labor strife. And this will, or there will be garbage not picked up on time. Now, you have to ask yourself, and nobody has mentioned this, why is the U.S. Attorney in the Southern District investigating Michael Cohen? Why? Is it Russia? No. Is it labor racketeering? Yes.
Do you think the feds may have evidence that Michael Cohen fixed things, as you say, for Trump, for the mob?
I think that Michael Cohen regaled people with the fact that he was connected to mob influence.
As I mentioned, Nick Ackerman's here along with former federal prosecutor John Flannery. Nick?
Jay Goldberg would know. I first met Jay Goldberg when he represented Funzi Thierry when I was prosecuting him as the boss of the Genovese family. Jay Goldberg represented Thierry, and he represented other members of that family. If anybody knows about the mob and has an inside story on that, it's Jay Goldberg.
So when he talks about Cohen's regaling his word, people with stories of fixing Donald Trump's mob problems, you're saying he's not talking about the mob in theory or in imagination. He has his own knowledge.
Oh, he knows, because he was representing. I mean, I'll give you one example. With this Thierry case, I had 4 witnesses in the witness protection program, all of whom Jay Goldberg was cross-examining. He knows what it means for a witness to flip. He knows what it means when somebody cooperates. And he also understands that somebody like Cohen can cooperate because all of those records that have been seized from his office provide a blueprint for whatever crimes he's committed. If he was in Prague dealing with the Russians, there's going to be evidence in the record.
John, mob ties, go ahead.
Well, you know, Trump has this long association before Roy Cohn passed to his final reward, and the association with the mob in a variety of ways, the building industry, the failed casinos, you have to wonder about those, how a casino fails. And so I felt like he was pulling a Rudy in a way, because he's introducing an aspect that Cohen is dealing with the mob for Trump, which is kind of an astonishing thing. And I haven't seen anything publicly saying that that's what the investigation's about.
But this is coming from an individual who represented Donald Trump for a long time. I mean, part of what we try to do here in reporting this out is talk to the people who are close to it. Isn't that pretty striking coming from him tonight? Well,
it's striking. I mean, I think he may open up a whole other investigation. I mean, Rudy gave us how he funneled money to pay off tricks for Mr. Trump, and now we're talking about how the fixer also maybe takes care of the mob. You know, Trump has been compared to the kind of a godfather person who expects omerta in one direction of loyalty toward him, and this would be perfect because he's had people in his tower who are associated with the mob, and there's been talk about what he's done in various projects before. It'd be pretty scary to have a made fella or an associate of the organized crime network sitting in the White House determining our foreign policy and our law enforcement policy.
Well, and look, this is surfacing from Jay Goldberg. He, as Nick mentions, has a long practice history in New York. He has his reasons. Well, he's been on the show before, but we consider this newsworthy tonight. Nick, right. I also asked him about the allegations of witness tampering with regard to Paul Manafort. And one thing I'll mention for context for viewers is Goldberg appears intent on showcasing what he views as problematic behavior by Cohen and Manafort. Context for that being there are people around Trump who want to just say, yeah, maybe these are the worst guys ever, but they're rogue bad guys. Here he was saying that if Mueller can prove it, witness tampering is a huge deal, re Manafort. Take a look. Is Paul Manafort in danger of being jailed before trial?
Well, he is. Tampering with a witness is of great consequence in the federal system. And if Mueller can make a showing that while he's at liberty, he presents a risk of intimidating or influencing witnesses to testify in a way inconsistent with the truth, he could very well find himself remanded.
Oh, I totally agree with Jay. I mean, he's absolutely right. This is a 20-year felony. It's extremely serious. And already, I mean, the only standard now for the judge tomorrow in terms of whether she remands him or not is whether or not the government has probable cause that Manafort was tampering with witnesses. The grand jury's already spoken on that.
Low bar.
Right, it's a low bar. The grand jury's already found.
This is the thing. There's
cause.
So much disagreement these days, but Jay Goldberg, Trump lawyer, and Nick Ackerman, a prosecutor who I think is fair to say is critical of Donald Trump.
It's fair to say.
Fair to say. Right. Agree tonight that tomorrow might be the first step to Manafort going to jail. The other thing I want to play, John, you mentioned Rudy. Take a listen to a somewhat lengthy, about a 50-second exchange we had on Rudy. Take a look.
Okay.
I told Trump that I didn't think that Giuliani was a proper lawyer for him because I think his manner is such as to draw attention away from Trump. But in retrospect, he's come out correctly in deciding not to submit Trump to interrogation by the Mueller team.
You think Giuliani's effective because even if his public performance is sloppy, it's still distracting from the actual Mueller probe?
That is true. It distracts from the Mueller probe. He's certainly not polished. And when you look at him and you hear him, you're influenced more by his delivery, which could be off-putting. And to that extent, it draws attention away from the Mueller probe.
John, briefly.
Well, briefly, I think Rudy should be arrested for impersonating a criminal defense lawyer, personally. But I don't think distracting is your objective. Aristotle said nothing improves your aim like having a target. Rudy seems to be an army of pompous phrases wandering across a vast landscape looking for an idea.
Did Aristotle say that?
No, a presidential candidate said the last part, but Aristotle said the first part about a target.
Well, I like to keep up with all the references and rhymes that come up on the show. So, hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.